All right, guys, let's get things started. I'm excited about this one. This is a big event today. For those of you that don't know, DMI has been in business for about 35 years. We're a wholesaler of life insurance and annuity products. I'm a VP of marketing, Glenn Setchfield. Today, we also have Mr. Tom Perrone, our coach, Tom Perrone, a new partner of ours. We're going to see a lot more from Tom in the future. We'll be doing many more presentations like this. I've just got to focus on this for a second because Tom's really special and we really appreciate the partnership. But Tom has been in business for 54 years, attending to the needs of business owners. Everybody considers him a specialist. Over 3,000 cases written, 1,000 plus advisors helped. I mean, there's nobody better to turn to for knowledge on getting inside the business owner's mind. So this is a huge opportunity. The business owner market with over 33 plus million business owners in the US. 80% want to stop working in their business in the next 10 years, but only 20% have written plans to transfer ownership. 48% of business owners don't have a formal exit strategy. 72% of small business owners have no exit strategy whatsoever. But the business mind or the mind of the business owner, it's a bit different. Their priorities are different. It's really a completely different mindset. And that's why we have Tom Perrone here to crack the code on the business owner. So I'm really looking forward to this one. We also, riding shotgun, we've got Keith Scatino, one of our life sales VPs, and then also Joshua Rem. They have been working with Tom to understand a lot of his principles and strategies. So they're also great to talk to. We have their QR codes here if you want to get their contact information to reach out to them to ask some questions about today's webinar and the program that we're developing together. Because we are looking for advisors that want to work directly with Tom on finding business owner opportunity together. If you are surrounded by business owners, if you're in touch with business owners, Tom is the kind of guy that can just kind of walk you in through that door. Get questions answered and make you look credible in front of those business owners. It's a different marketplace, so it takes a specialist to help. So with that being said, I would just mention that please use the Q&A function today. We'll answer questions as we go. We're also going to have surveys in the background that will be fun for you to respond to. We appreciate that engagement. And then if we don't get to your questions like during the webinar, we will attend to those at the end of the webinar. So I'm going to hand it off to Josh next for a few comments, and then we'll go to Keith and Tom and get things rolling. Thanks so much for being here, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, Glenn. I won't say too much. You covered a lot of great points. And I mean, the bottom line is there's tremendous opportunity to work with business owners. There are just millions of small and medium-sized businesses in the country. As Glenn mentioned, many of them don't have the proper planning in place. So since there's so many of them too, the probability that you're going to meet with one this week or that you're going to interact with one, whether it's at the gym or wherever you go, the probability that you're going to run into one is probably close to 100%. So the idea behind this is we don't want you to have to wait years before you become proficient enough to feel comfortable to approach these business owners. With Tom Perrone, we allow you this process and the knowledge to plug into so that today you can approach a business owner confidently to start a conversation and know that you have the solutions to meet their needs. So as you're doing this, have the confidence that this is something you can put into place today. We hope to hear from you as soon as today or tomorrow with some help to approach business owners because it is that turnkey and we're so excited to be able to provide this to you. So thanks for coming. That's enough from me. I'll hand it over to Keith so we can get us into the.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, I'm excited for this as well. Thank you everyone for attending. Everyone that we work with and consult with has some variation of a business owner that they may have interacted with or worked with. And what we see a lot of on our end of things is the interaction is really more on the personal planning side of things, handling their assets under management, dealing with a retirement plan based on that side of the financial house. I think what's really important, one of the things to gather from today is the melding of the actual business and how that business is going to be incorporated into the planning for the business owner's goals of retirement, maintaining that business to retirement and having an appropriate transitional phase in place. Tom brings that experience and expertise. Frankly, personally, I've had numerous conversations and discussions with Tom regarding different business cases because he's worked them. He's talked to those business owners. He's interacted with them. He really marries the why you need certain things in place to the actual details and the numbers associated with it. So you're getting a big picture overview, but then you're also getting the numbers crunched to provide that data in order to make that case. So it's a tremendous resource to have access to. First and foremost, some of our agenda is we're going to go through a few different things that are involved in Tom's blueprint in dealing with business owners. We will get that going right now. So for today's agenda, we're going to hit upon 4 different quadrants that Tom incorporates into parting with other advisors and working with business owners. And you may have interacted with someone in regards to one of these 4, maybe 2 of these 4. But as you'll see in the discussion and talking points, this is really something that is ingrained in Tom's process with working with business owners. We're going to talk about a business owner and growth regarding their business, equity regarding their business, how do they protect their business, and a big key transition of that business as far as what they do when they want to retire and where that business is going to generate a certain amount of monies for them to use for their retirement. People know that as buy sell planning to some degree, but really Tom goes into a lot more detail regarding that. And overall, this entire package is really the destiny game plan that is incorporated in working with business owners. So we're going to hit upon these 4 quadrants. Tom's going to take a moment to talk about his thoughts and ideas and have some interaction regarding each of those. Once we go through that, we're also going to then go through a live case study and actually see the process put in action start to finish and how a case was developed and designed, what the end result was. And we feel that at the end, at minimum, maybe you'll have 1 or 2 business owners that you have in mind that be like, you know what? I need to maybe dive into this a little bit more with that individual. And we can certainly coordinate conversations after the fact. And just going back to one of the things that I think is truly important here is melding that personal planning that you may be doing with a business owner to the overall business planning. And as Josh mentioned as well, you don't have to be 100% proficient to interact right now. If you like what you hear, and feel like Tom is someone that you want to engage with, you can be proficient from day one. So ultimately, we want to provide a resource that's going to help you grow your business and help your clients as well. So with that, Tom, the floor is yours to get started.
Well, thank
quadrants and how you help business owners.
Yeah, thank you, Keith and Josh and Glenn and Maureen. I appreciate the opportunity. This has been fun. Yeah, very quickly, why I'm so passionate about this. You'll have to read my book, but this all started in 1971, a year after, actually a tragedy that year where my father died owning a very not a wealthy, but a very cash flow business. And I saw that business evaporate within 3 years for pennies on the dollar. And I was too young to understand in the business because I was just 21 years old out of college. I started in 1970. I didn't know really the process. But when I saw my mother go through and what my family went through, I said, this really shouldn't happen to small business owners. So like a lot of agents, I started with the very small businesses, the 1, 2, and I learned, and I tried to seek out someone at that time to help me because it takes a village to know all this information. I couldn't find anybody. All the older people didn't want to work with a young person, but I did find someone who today I'm still very good friends. He's in the 80s, part of the M Group. He taught me very well about business and estate planning, and my passion just carried me now for 54 years. So I enjoy it, and I enjoy mentoring. So what you see on the screen is really the 4 quadrants of how I broke down business owners. And I might say one of the big drawbacks that a lot of advisors don't get involved with business owners is they really don't know how to approach them. And if you ever talk to me, I will show you how they pull into our system and start asking you questions. And it's very simple. If you're a person that goes to the chamber and starts to build friendship and relationships with your business owners, I can show you how to approach them in a very passive way where they will come back to you and start asking questions. In any event, so Keith, why don't we start with the growth area and talk about that? Why I say growth? Because if you're going to work with a business owner, you want to get in their head as to where are they going with the business, because no matter what you know and how you could help them, it doesn't really pay to spend time unless they're serious about growing their business. So are they creating strategies for growth? Are they focusing on value drivers that will grow their business? Are they putting money into next level management, which is good for advisors because those are the key people that you will put into executive compensation, split dollar, bonus plans, all kinds of plans that they're willing to spend to do this, 25, 30, $50,000 of a bonus plan for a key employee. I always tell business owners, if your guy, your key person is that good, your competition knows him. And sometimes if your competition has deeper pockets, which they normally do, they're going to try to steal him. So you better find a way that he won't leave. And we talk about that. And also the other thing that I always want to see is I want to see the owner delegating, because if he's not delegating, he's working 80 hours a week and that business is not going to succeed at his death. So we want to talk to him about helping. And I have other people that are advisors that help me with this growth strategy. But it's a key, it's the place to start to see if you really have a candidate that really is serious about growing their business.
So Tom, when you speak about growth, one of the things that comes to mind, and many individuals might think this way, as okay, growth, my revenue this year in 2024 was X, and in next year my growth is in 2025 is 10% higher. That's one way to look at growth.
Correct.
But from a planning perspective and incorporating tools such as life insurance, and a lot of what you mentioned here is really about recruiting of key people to help you grow and rewarding the current key people that you have already on staff to make sure, like you mentioned, that they stay on board, and using concepts like split dollar and other things. So it's internally utilizing excess cash flows to kind of build that foundation.
Yeah, let me give you an example. I just worked on a plan where the client told me he's just invested in his company and he's expecting a 15.7% growth in revenue. And I took that information and I considered his net profit of 6%. I kept that stagnant. I didn't move that, but I applied the new sales records or sales to the revenue. And it was a way of me showing him that he could take a fraction of that growth revenue and put it into his 2 or 3 people and see that he has the cash flow to do it. So, because a lot of times it's really about what are they thinking? What are they're thinking, this sounds great and everything, but I got to come up with the payment next year. So you have to think like them. And if you can show them with logic that if what they're planning on doing is going to work, then what I'm showing them will work. So it's just a matter of getting that data. So growth is so important. Yeah. And it's also his attitude, Keith. Is he willing to invest in his company?
Excellent. And when you say, when you talk about building key groups, you mind just expanding that just a little bit?
Yeah, every company, if they're going to grow and have value, their greatest potential value, they need middle management. And middle management is an evolving thing. I have a company that has an older middle management, but a younger group has come in, and now the newer, younger group, which are in their 30s and 40s, is a whole new group of future management because these other guys are going to grow, are going to retire. So you need to have, you need to build on the management group. Now, for an advisor like me, that's a good thing because I always have prospects in the company to work with because you want to hold on to these key people. And I always tell them, if you create a good management group or a series of groups, you'll never have a problem of hiring because you're going to create a good culture. People will come to you to work. Think of Trader Joe's or Costco, great culture. So these groups are so important, but they're so important to keep. And I think when I talk to a business owner, they get it through me because I have a passion that if you want to build, you need middle management. I was always a passive owner. I only worked 80 days a year for 40 of my 54 years to produce revenue. I had systems set up that I can go and see my kids' meetings and baseball games all the time. So that's what an owner has to do, and you only do it through middle management.
Tom, so I appreciate that. We're going to go into, you mentioned a little bit about a case study, but we're going to go into a specific case study right now that we like to talk about. And it does actually incorporate a lot of what you talked about as far as your approach and how you interact with the business owner and some of those tools that you're utilizing. So Tom could be in 3 places at once.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want me to go through this, Keith? Is that it?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Now, the no ego introduction. This is a wonderful way of an advisor who's just, let's say you met somebody at Chambers, but you don't know them that well. You just know enough about them that you know they have a company that you want to know more about. The no ego introduction is just something where I take an article that I write a lot of articles, and they're always built on direct response emotion so that it gets them to think. And so I have some advisors just write on it, hey, Keith, I just read this article by Tom Perrone. I want you to read it. I think it applies to you. And you send an email, send whatever you want. And then you call him and say, I really like to introduce you to Tom. He wrote a book. He's got a podcast. And what happens is he introduces me to his person through an email. I respond, and I have enough stuff in my email that he could click a video and know more about me and a couple of other things. And it's really a test if he's interested. Normally, he'll set up an appointment through my appointment calendar. So when I say no ego, the advisor is really saying, I'm part of the team, but I'm not the main guy here. It's Tom. And if you do that, normally it's done when you don't know someone that well. If you know them that well, you use other devices. But I find this is a great way of people to get right into the marketplace and approach people without feeling offended. Now, in this case, age 65, has a CPA son that entered the business, a 30-year-old company. They have 20 employees, and they have 2 key people. The young CPA is starting to work with a new management group, about 11 million in sales. This is an actual company that said, I do want to grow. And I'll use that example. They wanted to grow 15%. So what we did is we did the projection, but how I got them to start to really know more about them is I have something called the 2-minute survey or viewpoint that I have everybody do. It's a link they go onto on a website. It takes them 2 minutes. It downloads to me, but it gives me about 12 pieces of information that I don't have, and it tells me where they're going. And again, if you ever talk to me, we can talk about it. In this particular case, we went into our GWT planning system, which is really a self-learning planning system that our clients love. It's about 4 videos that are 20 minutes apiece and 2 pieces of information that take 15 minutes. And I give them 3 weeks to complete it. I'm not there. They're doing it by themselves, like a self-study. They send me all the information. And what that does, it educates them on why they should be doing planning. It brings up why they haven't done successful planning. And it gets me the facts that I need to start a discovery. And once we do that, we're into the planning system. I have enough information, and we continue the planning, which might take 6 months, 3 months, 2 months, whatever. But it gives me enough information. And the bottom line was on this one, there was executive bonus plans for $25,000 for each person, yearly investment of $50,000. We're working on estate planning, and we're now in the process. I just introduced him to our tax attorney at lunch, and we're going to pull the S corporation stock out of the Q-tip trust, which was done 14 years ago without much thinking. And when I went through why he should take it out of there, he signed up with our tax attorney right away. So this was a wonderful case that continually will grow because we have younger people in here. So it's a lot of fun. You're on.
Tom, in this instance, this is kind of a perfect example of what I've seen. Taking the first step, but not taking step 2, 3, 4. So oftentimes what we see is in a situation like this, the planning would stop at purchasing key person coverage for the benefit of the company. And that's no benefit to the key person. And part of the reason is the ultimate outcome here is just not having that expertise or knowledge of how that executive bonus, the ins and outs, or doing the estate planning part of the equation. You really have to be entrenched and working on that pretty consistently and having many years of experience to build up that knowledge. So we would often see a lot left off the table, frankly, in this instance, because we would simply be writing term insurance plans for 10 or 15 years on key people for the benefit of the company.
Yeah. But Keith, can I add this? Because I've seen it. I did it when I was younger. I just wanted to make a sale, make some money. And that's the wrong approach. There's always the sale, the easy sale, and the one you never get. Those are the good cases, right? The easy one and the one you don't get because it wasn't going to work anyway. You saved a lot of time. But the key thing here is two things: the approach and getting them to do the 2-minute viewpoint survey, which is, I've never had anybody say no to me because I talk, well, the system, it's just a logical thing to do to make things stronger, and things that are weak, make them stronger once I have that data. But you're right, the typical advisor will go for term insurance where we may have another $50,000 to $100,000 of premium over the next 10 years on this, maybe more.
Yeah. And you built a foundation to replicate because this is a company that does have employees being added, and you're going to be able to replicate similar situations for past employees that you've done. So that's great. We talked about the business growth. Let's move on to protection within your business blueprint.
Yeah, that's important because as you can see, every quadrant relates to either product or service that we offer in our businesses. So protection, well, first of all, we want to make sure the what ifs. What if you die or become disabled? What's going to happen to your business? What if you lose a key person? What's going to happen? What if your competition gives him an extra 50 grand a year? He's going to go. What happens to you now? How about the economy where it says, I can't meet my budget because there's not enough sales, or I lost my key person and our sales are down? Or, what, people burn out and they just want out. Are they in a position? Do they have things in place to be able to walk away, to deal with it? Now, part of that is, again, I talked to them about setting up wealth through their business, but not in their business. So if any of these things happen, there's always wealth they can tap without having going to their banker. Because if any of these things are going to happen, the banker is not going to give them money. So using a split dollar, using bonus plans, using endorsement split dollar to create assets that are financially friendly to the balance sheet. These are good things because we have money we can tap. The other part of this is your buy and sells being funded, and not many buy and sells, let alone not even executed, but they're not funded. And if they are, I run across a lot of people that have term insurance when they were younger. Well, 20 years goes by fast. I've seen a ton of term insurance end. So I look for that, and we had this discussion about when it's going to end, start looking at the cash flow to fund it with something permanent.
Tom, that's an invaluable comment right there, because we're culprits of this, frankly. the amount of term insurance that we see in place for buy-sell agreements, pretty much across the board, it's probably 95+% of cases coming that way, because it is the safer route from the standpoint of getting the application in, writing the insurance, but is it the better route for that business owner? So I love the fact that you actually have that transition and are able to have that conversation with the business owner in regards to that. The other thing too is, frankly, the insurance companies, the amount of insurance companies that will put in place buy-sell coverage when we put on the application, this is for buy-sell, and never ask for a copy of the agreement.
Yeah.
And the amount of cases where we actually couldn't physically provide a copy of the agreement because it hasn't been done. It's been talked about. Oh, we're fine. We got it in place. We'll get it done. That leads to a scarier conversation, because when your back's against the wall, those two business partners that were great friends and great business owners, there's something where they transpire. You just don't know what will happen if there's not a blueprint or a written plan in place. So let's go into, Tom, the protection case study that we got here.
One thing about this on the term insurance, Keith, I always show them what it looks like long term. And when they see those renewals of term insurance in the 21st year, because they plan on being in business. So if you don't want to have to opt out at that point. But anyways, if I have a discussion with any of you, I'll talk to you about how to do that. So the business protection, really, yeah, this is a perfect example. We had the owner, 66 years old. He put from his portfolio $1 million into his company to grow it, and he didn't insure it. As a matter of fact, he had just dropped his term insurance because it renewed at a higher rate, just like I talked about. So one of my advisors handed this gentleman my book. He read it and he contacted me, and we did all that, the 2-minute survey, and he sent me all the stuff. So we started as estate and business planning. And it ended up being a term insurance sale. And again, it was $15,000. Whether he'll convert it or not, because he's kind of looked at this as one thing to do, and it's got 15 years. But we don't know. Now, with the sunset provision coming around and the business growing, we may now be in a position to talk to him about converting that term insurance and proving to him he needs it longer than paying off a loan. But for the time being, this is where we are, and we're starting the estate planning in more depth. So I don't know where it's going to go, but we did something good for him, and we're doing his estate planning, and we'll see what happens.
Well, the positive I take out of that equation is the fact that it was a conversation of having permanent insurance. Now, ultimately, the client's going to decide, but as long as you, as the advisor, had the conversation and laid the plan out, pros and cons and so forth, in the end, you'll write term insurance to get that protection in place. That's certainly a fine result. I do love the fact that, again, your approach, which is very unique, the foundation of these building blocks that you offer between having your book as a tool to utilize, because business owners are extremely busy or have a limited time in a lot of instances to delve into different topics and things that they need to really address and actually spend more time in. They spend more time in their day-to-day of their business, but not actually in the planning aspect that we're talking about today. You're big on videos, short snippet videos that talk about these concepts and ideas, because it's a visual way for the business owner to digest material, to stop and rewind and replay again. And you have a complete catalog of those over time, and plus your podcast as well. So there's a lot of different tools to help build that relationship, which is pretty impressive.
And I might add too, on the podcast, Keith, if one of the advisors is trying to build a relationship with a good business owner and he knows enough, but he just is not there, I'll ask the advisor to ask his client if he'd like to be on our Building and Protecting Your Business Worth podcast. That is big, because how many people have asked your clients or their business owners to be on a podcast? They like it because they can use it as marketing. So we do a 15, 20-minute podcast. I think we got about 120 episodes now. And we've built a lot of relationships with business owners by doing that. because we spend time with them. Anyways, just another approach. That's all.
Excellent. So the next quadrant that we're going to move over and review is the equity component.
Very important. Equity is really, I gave it equity creation and distribution. You're building your business, you're making money. Where's it going? Because I've told business owners forever, business owners put too much wealth in their business. So when they leave their business from death, disability, or just retirement or burnout, the question is, do you have a plan to extract that wealth on a tax effective basis? And normally, no. How do you get the equity out of your business without selling it at a discount, walking away, dropping debt? You don't get it out. So you have to create through your business cash flow, wealth that is outside the business that is capable of being used for the business, like inventory, maybe. What's wrong with taking $100,000 loan tax-free on your life insurance, buying inventory, rolling over it, making more profit and put it back to you? Those are nice little deals, right? But also creating whatever it might be where you're using cash flow. If you knew split dollar well, you could actually say to a person, how would you like to have your company use its cash flow and your tax exposure being 2% or less? That's interesting. I'd want to know about that. And of course, so we also want to make sure we're using the equity in the business to make sure buy and sell agreements are funded, executive compensations being used, and a whole slew of things that we can do with equity besides just pumping it in the business to grow.
The key component there that I take away from this is transitioning that cash flow to wealth outside the business, and now bringing that into their personal financial planning aspect. So that's important. It's often ignored. Here's a case study, Tom, that another little twist here, another article or that you've added into your touching points with business owners. That's an interesting one. And why don't you walk through, again, split dollar is something that you do a lot of work in, and it's an untapped planning tool.
This is a case that we're working on now. It's $100,000 premium for 5 years, and then we'll roll it out in the 21st year. But this is an advisor's client. They called me to see what we do. So I told them the Washington letter is a wonderful way of approaching someone and using the sunset in 2025 as the anchor of discussion, and then some other things, because people want to know what's coming around the bend with their business. So again, it's been a great way of passively coaching someone you may or may not know well, but owns a business. But this person's 35-year old, very good entrepreneur, very successful, owns a couple of businesses, has 2 kids. Again, a lot of his money is in his 3 businesses. So we talked about, you have good cash flow. Let's start extracting money out. He picked the figure, and the proposal looks really, really good. And it was what the key question was, someday you're going to leave your business by death, disability, and retirement. And what plans do you have to extract the wealth of your business on a tax favored basis? And he was very bright for 35 years old with not too much experience in business, but he knew this. Someday I don't want to be in business. I want to be totally independent because I'm enjoying great wealth now. And he wants that continued. So this was an emotional thing that, it really clicked with him. So that's where we are. It's probably going to lead to some estate planning. Just talk about getting in the heads of a business owner. Sometimes timing's off because they're busy. They're having issues, but you have to look that down the road, you got to look at it long term, 10, 15, 20 years, and building those relationships. And every time you are able to put something together for them, it cements that relationship, and it prevents other people from coming in and taking over your client relationship. So as I listed, these are the 3 potentials. We're working on number 1 potential, but I'm sure there's going to be more. He's 35 years old. I'm going to have to bring one of the younger agents in here because by the time he's 60, I probably won't be around. So, I will be around. I will be around. Okay, so maybe when he's 80, I don't know. anyways, this was a nice case.
Excellent. And the Washington letter, can you just expand upon
Yeah.
your uses for that and
Yeah,
what that
yeah.
entails?
I love this because what it does is you send an email, you actually call the prospect and said, hey, Keith, I want to send you some information that's coming around the bend out of Washington, and I'm going to send it to you. And you send them an article and some bullet points of what's happening. But you would send them one of the articles that I wrote that's emotionally disturbing. And you would then follow up with an email or a call and say, again, here's that it's coming out of Washington, and it's possible that your business could be subject to very large estate tax at 40%, depending on what happens in 2025. Now, you're not saying it will, because we don't know where this sunset's going to come. It's probably going to be around 6 million. But think about how many businesses have never had an appraisal done. This sets you up to have a nice discussion about the value of your business, because if it's more than what the exemption credit is going to be, and you haven't done much estate plan, you could be subjecting your family to a 40% tax payable in 9 months. And if you do have that, how are you going to pay it? So again, it opens up this whole big area of your business. And then we go right into the 2-minute survey to see what else we can help them with.
Tom, in this particular instance, what was the process? And real quick, because we got one more quadrant to go through, but what was the process of how the advisor introduced you to this business owner? Like, did the advisor simply say, I have this really good client of mine, this is a successful young business owner, there's a lot of different opportunity there, I just don't know what direction to go in, or
Yes.
what was that conversation like?
Actually, the advisor is not even in the insurance business. They're financial. They don't have, I don't think they have a life insurance. I don't know, but they approached me and said they're business and we don't know what to do with business. And I said, well, here's what you do. And I told them what to do with the Washington letter. I gave them one of my books. I should have had them buy it because the profits go to Wounded Warriors or some veterans group, but I gave them the book and they sent it out, and it resonated on the follow-up call and the potential of a tax liability. With that, we got on a Zoom call. I had a discussion with them and I said, listen, I'm going to send you a link. Take you 2 minutes to do this link. If you don't do it in 2 minutes, you're having a bad day, but and he sent me everything. And that set the stage for knowing more about him. And we had a discussion, and this is where we landed on the discussion. So this is almost, when I do that 2-minute survey, it does 3 things. It tells me it's a product sale, it tells me it's a planning sale, or it's a garbage pail. In other words, it's not going to work. And I throw it out and I stay home, have a Guinness and enjoy my dinner. So, that helps everybody to know that.
Excellent. All right. We're going to go the last quadrant of the Destiny game plan is transition.
So many people do not have any idea about this. And I always tell them, the minute you buy or start your business, you better start thinking about what you're going to do with it. As like I said, that statement, someday you're going to leave your business and you'll want this equity. How are you going to get it out on a tax favored basis? And trust me, this is a almost counterintuitive discussion, because I've met so many people in business for so many years and they still haven't gotten around it. And, they talk about it. So what motivates them? That's a good secret. Sometimes this is not what motivates them to talk to me, but this is part of the discussion we do have when something else motivates them, whether it be key people, whether it be estate planning, and we talk about this stuff. And if nothing more, we lay the foundation that, again, someday you're going to leave your business. What are you going to do with it? That's number one. The other part of it, if they have partners, I always talk about the triggers in your buy and sell agreement. Are you fully funded? And I tell them, this is a legal contract. If you're not funded, how are you going to pay and redeem the stock? what's going to happen here? This is a perfect example of a situation I worked with that was an S corporation, and we've plotted for them to have a higher cost basis. I think it's on the example here, but we got into the discussion of buy and sell funding when we started talking. Yeah, there it is. The business transaction. This was an approach, an advisor called me, and I sent one of my white papers, which was very long, purposely, and the survey. And they had 4 partners. Stock was going to be sold at the majority. This was an older case. The owner, or the majority person who I was doing the estate plan for, knew his family wasn't going to get involved. So he wanted to sell his stock at his death. His family was out of it. So what would happen though here is I suggested to them, the premium was $60,000. I suggested that they prepare to have a note at his death that would be given to his family before the life insurance was paid out. Why did I do that? Well, because the 3 other partners would have missed out on the cost basis increase if the life insurance was paid and then paid out. So what we did is we have it set to go that at his death, there's going to be a note issued by the company and the redemption will happen. And then the life insurance will come in tax-free, and the 3 other partners will increase their cost basis. Otherwise, we've wasted the cost basis with the first to die here. So they liked that. They liked that because no one else was telling them that they could do all that. And, it's kind of having to know all this stuff, and it works pretty well when you do some planning. It was a $60,000 term policy, and that's all they wanted to do at that point of the game. And we never did convert it, but it's still there. But that's pretty good premium because the pay scale was pretty good on that one.
Excellent. Thank you, Tom. So there, again, I'd like to just broad picture strokes here. Your business blueprint, you're looking at multiple different quadrants, and there may be overlap planning, certainly, for business owners. But I hope those in attendance really appreciated the extent of the knowledge that Tom has and the detail to his approach. And you haven't even seen 90% of the other materials that are available between, Excel calculations and the proposal systems that he's developed over time, the video catalog that is available, going into detail about different concepts and ideas. It all just reinforces the various aspects of planning with the business owner. And I do love your 2-minute survey because you flip the switch. You turn it into that business owner providing you information. And when that business owner does do that and they're open and freely, having that conversation via that methodology, the 2-minute survey, it really unlocks a lot of different opportunities. And it's not something that you're just bringing to the table trying to force. They're showing their concern, and it really allows for a beautiful conversation to have. So appreciate everything that you do, Tom. And
can I just ask one more thing, and it's about attitude. Every case when I was younger was so important, like almost life or death. You got to get in this market, you have to get to the point where you don't drag prospects across the finish line. If you were to work with me and you followed what I do, if they don't raise their hand that they want some help, you're wasting your time. So I eliminate them very quickly, and that 2-minute drill or viewpoint is the most critical part of what I do in everything I do. But you save a lot of time and you go on to the next one. There's how many millions of business owners, right?
Hey, Josh, did you have some comments?
No, I mean, this was great. Great job, Tom, Keith, very thorough. And again, not to beat a dead horse, but right now you can stand out in the business market today. You have a way to approach business owners that's very unique, set yourself apart from the competition. You have a process that will uncover these problems, and you have resource to the expertise that will address the solutions that need to be addressed. So don't waste any time. And then, not for nothing, you saw these premiums. You don't get into the business owner market to make hundreds of dollars. In each one of these case studies, we saw 5 figures or 6 figures of premium. So jump right in. Don't waste any more time in being apprehensive at all, because with this process, with Tom's partnership, you can succeed immediately in addressing business owner solutions. So thanks again for this very, very valuable resource, Tom, and your partnership.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks, Josh, Keith, Tom. Appreciate it. Keith, could you move the slide to the communication contact information? So if you want to get in touch with Keith or Josh, if you're an agent of DMI, one of them is going to be your life side VP. Please reach out to them. You can scan that code there and get their contact information on your phone, or just take a quick screenshot of what's there right now. But I would just say that we've had a few people through the Q&A ask for Tom Perrone's book, and I would say get in touch with Keith and Josh, so they have access to that. But reach out to them and they can help you. Maureen, do you see any other questions that maybe I've missed? I see also, how do I get in touch? So clearly, I would say Keith and Josh are the people you want to reach out to there. They'll be very helpful in answering any of your questions. And if it makes sense to put you through to Tom, they're the key. Is there anything else there, Maureen?
No, I was just going to comment. I think some people want to be able to access Tom directly, and I've been sending everyone, please talk to Keith, talk to Josh. They'll be happy to give you direction on the best way to go about everything.
Right. They have access to his calendar and
Exactly.
So Tom, we really appreciate the partnership. And we've done a lot of work together already, and we're going to do many more presentations like this. So this has only been the tip of the iceberg. For those of you watching today, look forward to more events like this. And again, if you want to learn more, get in touch with Keith and Josh, and they can not only get you in touch with Tom, but then get some assets in your hands that will be helpful towards you understanding the business owner market a little better. But I think that's it for today, guys.
Thank you.
I don't think we have any other final comments. So I appreciate the time, everybody. Have a nice day.